As I am sure you are aware, Leeds United faced off against Nottingham Forest earlier today for me, yesterday for you, and it didn't quite end the way that we all hoped it would. Everyone was going into it thinking it'd be fantastic if Leeds could get a point, maybe pick up three, that could set the season back on track, and instead, Leeds got absolutely roundly pumped, and it wasn't even especially close. So I've given it a few hours in which I was working. A little bit of a word of warning for you, by the way. I'm recording this off the back of like a 12-hour shift. So if brain is foggy, I have notes and stuff to try and keep myself on track, but you may need to have a little bit of patience with me. I will get to my points. Apologies in advance. But we didn't get what we wanted. Leeds got absolutely roundly beaten and will very, very probably need to do significantly better than that if they want to stay up this season. So I've taken a little bit of time, reflected on the match. I've looked at a good point, one or two, I think, many, many, many bad point, a few underlying issues, and then come to a little bit of a more general sort of assessment of the situation, I guess, based on what we know so far. So to begin with, the good. We're going to do a minute of optimism first, and then we'll get into the really depressing stuff. I think we learned that Lucas Perry is quite good in that game. Yes, he conceded 3 goals. However, again, there were 2 goals where the opponent was completely unmarked and had a free shot on goal, and there was one penalty. There's sod all that he can do with the majority of that, and it's genuinely a shame that a lot of people will drag his name through the mud and say, you've conceded 3 times, when to be honest, it's not on him. That save from the deflected shot that was eventually offside, for example, is a ridiculously good stop, and one that you only get if you've got a top-level goalkeeper. For me, very promising signs, and in addition to that, this is the one promising thing that I'll say about the outfield play. The goal came from a very, very genuinely good and urgent bit of transitional football, the kind of stuff where it's pick up the ball and go. From winning the ball at the edge of their third to the ball being in the back of the net was about 7 seconds, which is ridiculous. It was transitional stuff and it was good. And then we need to talk about the quite a lot of bad stuff. And I'm going to start by going through the goals in chronological order, because I think that tends to be the best way to go through goals. And the first of them, Jesus Christ. You can already see that other sides are looking to target that far post on purpose because they've seen from recent weeks, including Brighton when it happened multiple times, that if you're an attacker, you can just go towards the far post and the defence will just ignore you. Throughout this move, there were 2 attackers at the far post, and there was also Ibrahim Sangare, who scored the goal, making a move in towards the 18-yard box. Sean Longstaff, nearest player to him, repeatedly scans around. Not once does he actually see Sangare, which shows that he's not really scanning well enough. And to me, it says that we hadn't really done enough in training. If this is still an issue, this shouldn't still be an issue. This is something that we saw multiple times against Brighton, and it still happened multiple times today. Losing players that are arriving late into the box isn't really good enough when it has repeatedly caused issues last week and is now cost us another 3 points. Following up on that, we need to talk about the second goal, where Jakobiol is marking Morgan Gibbs-White. Gabby Goodmanson is sort of holding Hutchinson on that flank. Hutchinson gets a yard of pace over him, which, to be fair, Hutchinson, quick, good player, delivers the ball in. Jakobiol, who has been keeping an eye on and following Morgan Gibbs-White for the majority of this move, sees Hutchinson swing his leg for the cross, which is all well and good, that's fine. Keep an eye on what the opponent is doing. Brilliant idea. But that also encompasses following the man that you were marking. And from the moment Hutchinson swings his leg back to put in that cross, Beale completely forgets about Gibbs-White. He just ignores the fact that he's there, which means that you've got Morgan Gibbs-White, a very, 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 very good footballer, able to float between our 2 centre-backs, not spotted by the man who was initially marking him, and getting a header in, 3 or 4 yards of space, that Lucas Perry has no chance of getting anywhere near. And there's also a little bit of blame to put on Joe Rodon here, because if he's noticed that Jakobiol has completely lost his man, maybe look forward and go, oh, that's bad, and go forward yourself. But for me, the fact that the first 2 goals of this game came as a result of just completely switching off and forgetting to mark players in the most dangerous part of the football pitch is horrendous, and something that we really, really need to start fixing, because if we don't, there are better teams than Forest in this league, and those teams will pull us apart, and we really could do without that. Then the third goal. Oh, the third goal. That was a time, wasn't it? Why is Harrison at left wing back? As the first question. Because we had Gabby Goodmanson on the pitch, and Gabby Goodmanson is a left back who plays in the left wing back sort of vibe most of the time. He's a fairly attacking kind of guy. So why is Harrison coming on and making the clumsiest, stupidest tackle that could possibly be made? And also, again, I'm not going to blame a goalkeeper for conceding a penalty that happens. I'm going to blame Jack Harrison for the stupid challenge. And I'm also going to blame Daniel Farke for going, yeah, you know what, Jack Harrison needs to be on the pitch right now. Because if you're looking for a left wing back, we've got one. We've got two. We had James Justin in the squad. Jack Harrison is a winger. Sometimes he does the left wing back stuff, but he's never been great at the defensive side. And the last thing we needed in that situation was to give away a stupid penalty or another opportunity for a goal, because once you go 2 goals behind against the Dyche side, you don't get anything out of that anymore. Because what Dyche does is the solid stuff. So you gave him the opportunity to say, oh, cool, we're just 2 goals up now, let's chill for a bit. Which is such a miscalculation, and it leads me into the list of big sort of worries that I've got at the minute. The first of which is the fact that we went into that with 3 defensive-minded midfielders. Longstaff, not really a progressive player. He's someone that'll keep things ticking over, but he doesn't progress the ball well. Stack, effectively a 6, who plays a little bit box-to-box in our system. Ampadu, who is a 6, drops between the centre-backs when we're in possession. Sorry, also got a bit of a cold. You might be able to hear it on me. Why, if we're playing with 3 defensive-minded midfielders, and none of them engaging in the defensive side of the game? Ampadu is, fair enough. Stack is, fair enough. But Longstaff, at multiple points throughout that first half, you're thinking, just tackle him a little bit. The Sangare thing. Longstaff is the midfielder stood at the edge of the box, scans around his shoulder with Sangare over here somewhere, and just doesn't follow or doesn't see him. Either way, it's not really good enough. And that means that, as a result of all of that, we conceded the first goal that let them get back into it, and it let the game devolve into a little bit of chaos, which we could have really, really done without. So why are we playing those 3 defensive-minded midfielders if they don't want to engage defensively? And I was talking with Joe at half-time over on his stream on Big Up. Go and watch it, it's a good time. And we were just saying, like, why would you have 3 defensive midfielders if they're not... Because they're not participating in the attack. At the same time, this will come on to another issue that we've got in a minute's time. But if they're not participating in the attack and they're not engaging defensively, then you can just take Longstaff off. Just do that as a first step. You can move Aronson inside if you like. Tell him you're an 8, but you've got the license to go forwards, because we know that he's happy to engage in a tackle and all that kind of stuff. And he'd bring that little bit more energy in terms of going forwards, and whack Dan James out on the wing, because he was a little bit of a threat when he was on the pitch. But there's no point in having 3 defensive-minded midfielders if they're not going to do the defensive side and they're not going to do the attacking side. And then you get onto the next of the issues, which was the fact that there was a failure to make that change at half-time, which is on Daniel Farke. But in addition to that, there's a sort of lack of identity at the minute. With Bielsa, you knew what you were getting. With Bielsa, you knew it was going to be high press, high intensity, high energy, all the time, regimented kind of stuff. And it might not have worked every single time, but you know what? It had that entertaining identity to it, and there was something behind it that you knew that you could trust was at least present throughout. In addition to that, you've got Marsh, who it didn't go well, but there was an identity there. High pressing chaos ball. It wasn't a good identity, but there was something. Followed by Skubala didn't have enough time, but followed up by Gracia, who was a sort of, I'll try and make things a bit more solid, a little bit of identity. Again, didn't quite work out, but you knew that there was an underpinning philosophy there. Then Big Sam, who you know what his philosophy is, it's gravy, basically. But I don't know if we've got that at the minute. Are we a side that hits sides on the transition? Not at the moment, because in terms of taking it from defence to attack, we're incredibly slow in the Premier League. Are we a team that dominates possession? Not particularly at the minute, because we don't really have good enough players to do that. We don't have the sort of creativity in us to sort of play the ball around sides. And if I have a look at the sort of amount of possession we've had per match this season, we've had more than 50% of the ball in 3 league games. So clearly we're not dominating possession either. So what are we now? And I think we're just a little bit lost. I think it's a case of chuck players out onto a football pitch and hope that they do what you need them to do. And at the moment, they are not doing that, which means that you don't have that identity to fall back on and say, well, at least we're trying something. Because I don't know what it is we're trying at the minute. And if you go beyond that, we've still got the problem that will last us at least until January, and that is that there is an underlying weakness in this squad. I want us to play more attacking, forward-thinking football, where when we win the ball in those deep areas, we go and we move and we cause problems. At the moment, we get the ball in those deep areas and we slowly plod our way up the pitch, and eventually we'll gradually make it to the goal. If we keep the ball long enough. But the issue is, we don't really do that at the minute either. So, if we had someone that was able to do as a right winger, for example, with a decent bit of quality to them, or a number 10 who is a progressive passer that you can chuck in the side and say, cool, now we've got someone to get us going forward. But we don't have that yet. And we can't until January, which leaves us with sort of the underlying problem with Leeds United at the minute, which is you might be keep Daniel Farke in, you might be get Daniel Farke out. I am currently very much in the I don't know position, because I don't know. Because I'm not someone who actively seeks to get people out of their jobs, and I think we saw a hell of a lot of good signs at the start of the season. It's just, can we get that back? Who knows? But the issue that we've got at the minute is it's quite hard to see what comes next, because Farke's visibly struggling, so there's a bit of a question mark as to whether he can turn the ship around. I don't know who we'd be able to get in from available managers as an alternative. People will shout names in the comments, I've got absolutely no doubt about that, but no one is the perfect solution. The grass is always greener, all that other stuff. The nice shiny thing is always going to be better than what you've got right now. And then you've got the issue of whoever comes in knowing that their squad doesn't have what it needs. It doesn't have a dedicated number 10. The number 10 is currently playing on the right wing, and I'll be honest, Aronson's been alright out there. Managed to get another assist today, did a lot of hard work, and he lost the ball a few times, sure. But he lost the ball because, as I mentioned earlier, players aren't getting forward to provide options. So I think there's a couple of fundamental issues that are going on right now, and we need to fix them in the international break. If Farke sticks around through that period, then I hope he's able to fix it whilst the international break happens. If he doesn't, because I don't know what the 49ers are going to do right now, then I hope whoever comes in is able to fix that problem very, very quickly. They can't fix the players that we've got at hand because that's literally impossible. But I hope something systemic changes over the next few weeks. Otherwise, the season is going to be rough. And I don't have the energy for a really rough season right now. I am currently ill. I'm tired. And I would much rather we just won today to make things a little bit nicer. But we didn't do that. We couldn't do that. Which is a pain in the bottom. But, as always, I'm sure you already have done. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's massively appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Again, also absolutely wonderful. Become a channel member if you like. You get videos like this one early. Yay. And pop a like on the video too. That'll do it. Hope you all enjoyed. I'm going to get some sleep soonish, and I will see you all later. Toodaloo.